For those of us that see in first person, we understand why first person games are the most immersive. Sorry third person gamers, get out of here. Here are the top 10 free first person Itchio games you don't know about. What Lives Below is a sea monster game where you play as someone controlling a boat as you bring down various kaiju sea monsters. You operate a tiny ship by interacting with physical mechanisms like the steering wheel, accelerator, and a radar to keep track of the monster's position. I really enjoyed this aspect of running back and forth to control your ship before getting some shots off at the sea monsters. The game is structured around the 4 bosses, with each of them having 2 phases. You throw harpoons at their weak spots to deal damage and have explosive harpoons that can break rocks or disable machinery. You can even slow down time for a moment, which helps to line up throws. If the sea monster damages your ship, you can repair it with a blowtorch if there's an opening. You're very vulnerable since you're at the mercy of the rough seas that toss your ship around in comparison to the massive sea monsters. If you're looking for a gorgeous game with a unique premise centered around killing giant sea monsters in a tiny boat, then I recommend What Lives Below. You Did It Faster Before is a parkour speedrunning game set in a colorfully derpy world. The goal is to complete the game as fast as possible while killing enemies along the way. You get around levels by running and jumping, but also using various abilities. There are 2 enemy types, regular enemies and enemies dressed as chickens. Whenever you kill a chicken enemy, another section of the world rises up with more enemies on it to kill. You have to kill all the chicken enemies as fast as possible to beat the game. The twist is that you unlock different abilities depending on the time you get or by completing certain challenges. You can then use those abilities in primary, secondary, and passive slots. I especially enjoyed the grapple ability as it really speeds up movement with its long range. If you're looking for a movement-based speedrunning game with tons of abilities and a lot of replayability, then I recommend You Did It Faster Before. Escape PS1 Hagrid is a parody game of the Harry Potter series where you do various tasks around Hogwarts. The game is broken up into 3 chapters of survival horror, platforming, and fighting. The main portion of gameplay is survival horror where you find potions for Gandalf and medicine for Smeagol while avoiding Hagrid who constantly pursues you. Then there's a platforming section that's super simple, and finally the fighting section that has you
murder the children of Hogwarts.
Oof. I enjoyed exploring around the gorgeously detailed environments to see what I could find. If you're looking for a hilarious parody game set in the Lord of the Rings world, then I recommend Escape PS1 Hagrid. Raft is a survival game where you're stranded in the middle of an ocean on a raft. You start out with just a tiny raft, but have a hook that you can throw out to sea to pull in debris floating by, which you can then use to craft new items and upgrade your raft. There's things like a water purifier, seed planters, cooking stations, a fishing rod, and a bunch of various items that have you managing more tasks over time. Like most survival games, you have to manage your health, water, and food meters in order to survive. There's an ever-present shark that will sometimes attack your raft, which you have to defend off with a spear. The biggest flaw with the game is that it gets easier over time as you get more upgrades, but it's satisfying to build out your raft. If you're looking for a simple survival game where you're stranded at sea, then I recommend Raft. Overlapped is a puzzle game where you control 2 separate but overlapping realities. You're placed in a puzzle room and have to reach the white exit to get to the next level. You do this by switching between the cyan and the pink reality, which have different layouts and platforms of the same puzzle room. You look at the wall, floor, or ceiling and control how far you want that particular color to move to change the environment. A lot of times you'll have to pick a particular side and only change part of the room. There are boxes you can use as platforms or place on buttons that spawn in new platforms. You'll sometimes have to collect a white collectible which activates the exit door before you can escape. Later into the game there are inception doors that you can walk through which teleports you to a new location in the puzzle room. If you're looking for a puzzle game with a unique room changing mechanic, then I recommend Overlapped. Shrek's Funderland is a maze game where you have to escape different mazes while avoiding Shrek. You go through various maze levels that are constructed solely with cursed images of Shrek. Somewhere in the maze is a Shrek stone which you have to find to progress to the next level. There are also Shrek enemies that kill you if they touch you. as well as donkey enemies that do the same thing but are a bit faster. Along with the maze levels, there are runner levels which have you go through a linear level, manipulating the enemy's movements to reach the Shrek stone at the end. You're always thinking about how to move to avoid the enemies constantly chasing you. If you're looking for a meme-oriented Shrek game, then I recommend Shrek's Funderland. Pet the Pup at the Party is a game where you're at a party, but being the introvert you are, you go in search of a dog. Sound is a big part of the game design, as you can hear the location of the dog and how far away it is every time it barks, so you know if you're headed in the right direction. There's a timer that's always ticking down, but every time you find a dog, you get 30 seconds added back. You keep finding dogs in different houses until the timer eventually runs out. The houses are randomly generated, so every time you find a dog, you're placed in a new house with new room locations. If you're looking for a hide-and-seek type game and love dogs, then I recommend Pet the Pup at the Party. Somnium is a collectathon platformer set in an operating system where you try to recover an email you sent. In each of the 4 worlds, there are letters to collect, which are the missing letters from the email you sent. The main goal of each level is to complete a series of platforming challenges to talk to someone at the end who opens up a portal to the next world. The platforming is very chill as your jump is super floaty and the soundtrack is calmingly retro. The worlds are a joy to explore because of each world's unique theme filled with a variety of well-written characters. If you're looking for a relaxing platformer with a vibrant art style, then I recommend Somnium. You're in Space and Everyone Wants You Dead is a score-driven game where you hop between small planets to escape aliens. Your field of vision is very small, so you always have to be on the move so the aliens don't catch up to you. Around planets there are boxes which you can pick up and throw at the aliens to kill them, some of which are explosive. You can even grab aliens and throw them back at other aliens if you're feeling really disrespectful. Killing aliens gets you bonus points as well as coins placed on random planets. If you're looking for a score-driven game with gravity-based movement mechanics, then I recommend You're in Space and Everyone Wants You Dead. Room Service is a surreal walking simulator where you navigate around the workplace on a 16-sided cube. It's your first day on the job working at the new hotel, so you go around completing tasks that mainly involve you looking for the right objects that'll interact with something else in another room. Finding all of the correct rooms is the hardest part because every time you change rooms, all of the other rooms shift too. There is a mini-map, but it's very confusing, though it didn't really matter since the game is really short regardless. If you're looking for an abstract walking sim with a strange navigational focus, then I recommend Room Service. Those were the top 10 free first-person Itchio games you didn't know about. I'll have my playlist of free Itchio games you don't know about linked in the description, as well as my videos about free first-person games on Steam. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to keep up with this ongoing series.